when a group of scientists observed 12 massive orcas forming a tight circle near the Alaskan coast. They froze in astonishment. These marine predators, known for their ferocity, were behaving very strangely. They weren't hunting but seemed to be protecting something. What the researchers saw when they dared to approach this unusual circle shocked them. On that cold October morning, Dr. Elena Vasilieva and her team had been conducting routine observations of the orca population in Prince William Sound for the past 3 years, tracking behavioral changes in these remarkable marine predators. Yet nothing could have prepared them for the events that would unfold that day. The team first noticed signs of unusual activity around 7 a.m. when a group of 12 orcas, including several large males with characteristic tall dorsal fins, began displaying strange behavior. Instead of following their usual hunting or migration patterns, they gathered in a tight circle and regularly emitted sounds that the research vessel's hydrophones had never recorded before. These vocalizations were entirely new. It didn't sound like the aggressive clicks we usually hear during hunting, nor like the social signals typical for group communication. It sounded more like a lullaby, a gentle, almost melodic sequence of sounds. Dr. Vasilieva would later recall. The team decided to move closer. With a small research boat, they cautiously approached the group of orcas. With each meter, the tension on board increased. No one knew how the animals would react to this invasion of their space. Yet the orcas seemed so focused on something in the middle of their circle that they barely noticed the approaching vessel. When the boat got close enough, the researchers witnessed something incredible. In the middle of the circle was a gray whale calf. This species is normally prey for orcas, but instead of attacking the helpless creature, the orcas appeared to be protecting it. The calf was obviously injured, with deep scars likely from a collision with a ship marking its body. It was struggling to stay above water. The orcas took turns swimming beneath it, helping it stay at the surface. This contradicted everything scientists knew about interspecies relationships. In this moment, we witnessed something that revolutionized our understanding of marine mammals' social behavior, said Dr. Vasilieva. These animals, known as ruthless hunters, showed remarkable care for a creature that would normally be their prey. The team spent the following hours documenting every detail of this unique interaction with underwater cameras and hydrophones. Particularly interesting was the behavior of the largest female in the orca group, whom the researchers called the matriarch. The matriarch seemed to coordinate the actions of the entire group, regularly emitting special acoustic signals after which other group members would change positions to continuously support the injured calf. Moreover, she regularly sent out scouts who swam in circles around the main group, as if protecting them from potential dangers. Throughout the morning, the situation began to change. On the horizon, characteristic spouts appeared. A group of gray whales was approaching. As it turned out, it was the calf's family, possibly having detected its acoustic signals. The orcas' reaction to the gray whale's appearance was even more astonishing than their previous behavior. Instead of swimming away or showing aggression, the orcas began emitting a special sequence of sounds as if trying to communicate with the approaching whales. The orcas gradually widened their circle, creating a kind of corridor through which the gray whale family could safely approach their calf. It seemed like a carefully orchestrated handover process. The orcas not only freed the calf but ensured it could safely return to its family. They remained nearby until the mother approached the calf and helped it stay above water. The scientists were overwhelmed by the wealth of data collected and decided to analyze the behavior of the matriarch and her group more closely. They discovered that some of the orcas took on specific tasks, as if the matriarch had assigned them roles. While most members secured the calf, others swam further out to explore the surroundings. Some orcas even seemed to deliberately keep fish schools nearby, perhaps to provide food for the exhausted calf. This level of organization was unprecedented. The subsequent analysis of the collected data led to several remarkable discoveries. The acoustic signals the orcas produced during this incident had a unique structure that differed from all known vocalizations of this species. Some of these signals had frequency characteristics similar to those of gray whales, suggesting the possibility of interspecies communication. Particularly fascinating was the observation that the scouts monitoring the surroundings were apparently controlled by the matriarch signals. This day fundamentally changed scientists' understanding of orcas' social behavior. The 5 minutes and 50 seconds researchers recognized that the matriarch was the central figure in a complex web of communication and cooperation. This wasn't a spontaneous action. It pointed to a deeply rooted tradition that might have been passed down through generations. Who knows what secrets these fascinating marine inhabitants still conceal from us? Perhaps humanity is only beginning to comprehend the true nature of these amazing creatures. After the incredible incident that Dr. Elena Vasilieva and her team had observed, the events of the day wouldn't let the scientists rest. Back in their facility, they spent hours analyzing the recorded data. Every acoustic signal, every movement of the orcas and gray whales was examined in detail, hoping to gain new insights into this extraordinary interaction. Yet, as the scientists delved deeper into the data, more questions emerged. Why had the orcas, these predators known for their aggression, protected an injured gray whale calf? Were there similar reports of such behavior, or was this an isolated case? The team decided to return to the site of the incident. They wanted to further investigate the area and find out if the group of orcas was still in the vicinity. It was a cold, clear, early morning when they sailed back into Prince William Sound. The ocean's surface glistened under the rising sun, and the silent tension on board was palpable. After several hours of searching, the familiar black and white bodies of the orcas appeared again. This time, however, they weren't forming a protective formation. Instead, they were spread across a larger area and appeared to be hunting. The orcas' behavior seemed to have returned to their usual pattern, yet the researchers noticed that some group members continued to stay close together, as if waiting for an invisible signal. Dr. Vasilieva decided to focus on the matriarch. She observed how this powerful female repeatedly sent out acoustic signals. These sounds were less melodic than those previously recorded, but they seemed to serve a clear function. The other orcas responded immediately by changing their positions or adjusting their movements. It was as if the matriarch was casting an invisible net of instructions across the water. The researchers speculated that these signals not only coordinated hunting but also served to reinforce the social structure within the group. Meanwhile, the scientists made another amazing discovery. The group kept returning to a specific point in the water where the hydrophones registered a faint acoustic resonance. It seemed there was an underwater structure there, perhaps a reef or a cave that held special significance for the orcas. Dr. Vasilieva suspected this spot might be some kind of meeting point or rest zone for the animals. To learn more about it, the team lowered an underwater drone to the location. What they found exceeded all expectations. The drone revealed a complex network of underwater caves and crevices surrounded by dense kelp forests. Between these caves moved not only the orcas but also other marine creatures, including fish, starfish, and even some smaller whales. It was a vibrant ecosystem that was apparently protected by the orcas. A detailed investigation revealed that this underwater structure also possessed acoustic properties that acted like an amplifier for the orcas signals. The researchers suspected that the matriarch used this acoustic environment to broadcast her sounds over great distances. This allowed her to efficiently organize her group even when members were far apart. But the biggest surprise came when the drone discovered an old wreck at the bottom of the cave. It was a wooden ship from the early 20th century, overgrown with algae and corals. As the drone examined the wreck, The team noticed something remarkable. Some of the orcas seemed to deliberately swim around the wreck as if they were guarding it. Could it be that these animals have a connection to this place that we don't yet understand? Dr. Vasilieva wondered aloud. It was a fascinating thought. Perhaps the wreck was more than just part of their environment. Perhaps it was part of their history, a place where memories or instincts were passed down through generations. Research in the following weeks focused on unraveling the history of the wreck and better understanding the orcas' relationship with this mysterious place. The acoustic data indicated that the orcas emitted special sounds when approaching the wreck. These sounds weren't aggressive but rather resembled the melodic signals they had used while protecting the gray whale calf. It was as if this place held special meaning for them. The scientists decided to expand their observations and also study other species around the wreck. They discovered that even animals that were normally orca prey showed unexpected calmness near the wreck. It was as if this place was regarded as a kind of neutral territory among marine inhabitants. For Dr. Vasilieva and her team, the mysteries surrounding this orca group and their behavior were more far-reaching than they could have ever imagined. The connection between the animals, the wreck, and the underwater landscape was a puzzle that was far from solved. Yet one thing was certain. This place told a story that scientists were only beginning to understand. The scientists were determined to further unravel the mysteries of the wreck and the orcas. Weeks of intensive investigation had already yielded some amazing insights, yet the feeling that something big remained undiscovered wouldn't leave them. Dr. Elena Vasilieva could barely sleep, her thoughts circling around the idea that the orcas might have a reason for guarding this place. One morning, before sunrise, the team decided to launch another expedition. They wanted not only to gather more data but also to find out if the orcas' behavior showed signs of impending change. The sky was overcast, and a cool wind blew across the waves as the research vessel Aurora glided out of the harbor. As they approached the spot where the orcas were last sighted, the atmosphere on board began to crackle with anticipation. The scientists aimed their cameras, hydrophones, and the underwater drone at the known underwater structure, but today, something seemed different. The orcas were behaving notably restlessly. Instead of calmly circling or hunting, they were emitting loud, clicking sounds that made the water vibrate. It was as if they were trying to warn about something. "I have a bad feeling," said one of the technicians while checking the data on the screen. "These sounds, they're different. They sound urgent, almost alarming." Dr. Vasilieva nodded thoughtfully. She knew orcas had a highly developed communication system, but these signals seemed chaotic, almost panicked. Suddenly, a new signal appeared on one of the monitors. It was movement deep down in the cave that had gone unnoticed until now. The drone was sent deeper, and the team held their breath as the cameras captured a gigantic shadow moving in the darkness. It was a massive deep-sea squid, a species rarely sighted in these waters, but this specimen was larger than anything they had expected. The orcas' reaction was immediate. They once again formed a formation similar to when they protected the gray whale calf, but this time the circle seemed to have an aggressive function. The matriarch emitted loud, thundering signals that coordinated the other members of the group. The tension on board the research vessel reached its peak. The scientists were both fascinated and concerned. The deep-sea squid moved slowly out of the cave, its gigantic tentacles weaving through the water and appearing to study the orcas. The drone camera recorded every detail while the researchers frantically tried to interpret this behavior. Had the squid come here to investigate the wreck, or was it a threat to the orcas and their territory? What happened next exceeded all imagination. The orcas attacked. With impressive synchronicity, they launched themselves at the squid, following a clear strategy. While some attacked the squid's tentacles, others targeted its head specifically. The matriarch took the lead and emitted an ear-shattering signal that sounded like a battle cry. The fight was intense. The squid defended itself with its tentacles, wrapping them around some of the attacking orcas and trying to push them back. But the orcas were faster and more agile. The underwater drone captured the spectacular images while the researchers excitedly analyzed the data. After what seemed like an endless battle, the orcas succeeded in driving away the squid. It retreated, its movements slower and less coordinated. The orcas didn't pursue it but returned to their formation as if they had successfully completed their mission. It was a victory that left the scientists speechless. Dr. Vasilieva looked at the screens, and then out at the water where the orcas now swam calmly again. "This was no coincidence," she said quietly. "They have deliberately defended this place. Not just themselves, but the ecosystem here." In the weeks following this incident, the team continued their studies. They analyzed the acoustic signals from the battle and discovered that the orcas used a complex series of commands and calls that revealed a clear hierarchy and role distribution. The matriarch wasn't just a leader but a strategic thinker who effectively coordinated her group. This incident fundamentally changed the scientists' understanding of orca behavior. They weren't just hunters but also protectors, not just predators but preservers of a delicate balance in their habitat. Dr. Vasilieva knew that the world needed to hear about these discoveries. It was time to rethink the image of the killer whale and see them as the intelligent and complex beings they truly are.